Morning, y'all. I am here today on behalf of the My Creative Year Facebook group, who so graciously invited me to be a guest artist this month for April. And our theme this month is journaling. So I'm going to show you my take on journaling, or how I journal. It's something I've shown before, I've talked about before. It's not new, but it is worth repeating repeatedly. It needs to be repeated repeatedly because I think it's important. It's something I'm really passionate about. So that's what I'm going to show you today. If you are interested in joining the group at My Creative Year, I will put a link down in the video description. You can go check it out, see what's going on. They have a different theme every month, and I believe they have weekly topics to go along with the theme as well. So if you're the kind who, needs a prompt or just a general idea to get started, it's perfect, really. So go check them out. And now let's just jump right into journals for no reason. This is how I journal. This is not the only way to journal. It doesn't mean that I think that all of your journaling should be for no reason. No, that's not it at all. There is journaling for lots of really good reasons. There is just creating for good reasons, whether you're journaling out life events, or keeping a scrapbook or a diary, or you're making projects for gifts or for home decor or whatever. All of that is great. And it's, it's things that I do from time to time. But my general go-to thing that I like to do is this, no reason journaling. And I'm going to show you some of my journals for no reason. Okay, they actually do have a reason, but it's not they're not goal-oriented. That's why I say no reason. My goal is not to make a completed art journal page with a theme or a meaning. No, there is no reason behind everything that's in these books other than I did it just for the joy of doing it. That is the reason for me. It is the joy I get out of just gluing one piece of paper to another. I don't want to have to worry about what that's going to turn into or how it's going to look, what it's going to be when it's grown up. Honestly, I don't care. I just like gluing. And I really love slapping paint on paper. I don't want to have to paint a thing, that in the end it's going to be a recognizable thing. I don't want to, that stresses me. I don't want to do that. I just like to smush the paint on the paper. So this is like kindergarten art journaling. And it is actually, for me, it is very cathartic. It is relaxing. It is enjoyable. And that's a therapeutic aspect for me. You may hate it. You may feel like you're just filling up books full of worthless nonsense, and which is fine. It's not for everybody. But if you just like the carefree act of just playing and having fun and putting stuff into books just 'cause, then maybe you'll like this. Okay, let me show you some of my favorites. I have lots and lots of these, but I just picked a few of my favorites. This one, let's start with my first one. This was my first journal for no reason. I called it a use it up journal. And the reason I made it was because I had collected tons and tons of scraps and images that I was just hoarding and not using, and I needed to get rid of them. So I decided to just stick them all in this book. Oddly enough, I am right back around at that point. Cleaned out my stash here, built it back up. So I'm starting another journal for no reason to clean out again. But okay, anyway, that's what this was. I went through and just glued together stuff out of my stash, and some of it had kind of a theme. See these with the tabs are the colors. This is orange, so this was like orange stuff. I have another one. This one was gray. So I have some color themed pages, and others, this is just a single sheet that I loved. I just loved this sheet, so I stuck it in there. It's there, and these were ads that I kind of embellished a little bit. But these were just things that I collected, that I loved, and I just put them in here just because it made me happy. Some of them are, you know, kind of have an artistic thing going, others not so much. That was scraps off of another project. Just cool things, cool junk mail things that I wanted to keep. And, you know, of course, every journal I make usually has a page of watches in it. So this is a journal for no reason. It is just, and really, it's just eye candy in the end. It is just visual stimuli coming at you in a way that you really can't help but be inspired by. I get inspired to do something every time I flip through this. So this was my first journal for no reason. And I don't know what came next, but this one started out as a paint wipe-off book. You know, because like usually if I'm doing something with paint, I have either a stack of scrap paper or a book. Right now I'm using, this was an outdated little calendar. This is my current paint wipe-off book, and it's just what I put excess paint on from my brush, or, you know, clean off my palette with it, whatever. That's what this one started out as. And by the way, you can see this one was actually, I believe, a Moleskine Cahier, which is very similar to a composition notebook. So it can be something as cheesy as a composition notebook, or it can be a nice Moleskine sketchbook. Doesn't matter. I don't even, you know, I didn't even complete the cover on this. I don't see any need to. I kind of like the fingerprints goo all over the cover. But this was my paint wipe-off book, which I started out just cleaning off my paint brushes. Then I went back through and started adding some scraps and stuff on purpose. I even added some more paint on purpose, and that made it more journal-like, I guess. But it was still, I'm not doing like complete pages. I'm just, oh, I'll add a little stencil here. Oh, I'll glue this little thing here. Just very random, fun gluing and painting. So your paint wipe-off books are a great starting place for a journal for no reason. Okay, and then I have, this was an American Science and Surplus catalog like you get in the mail, and I glued several pages together. This, I think both of these were doodles that I did on wax paper that I just glued over the cover. And then you can see in this one, you know, this is like just random scrap papers, napkins, just more randomness. And then here, this is almost like an actual art journal spread right here. You know, I think I was practicing using white space or something. And then the next page, evidently I was sick because it's cough drop wrappers and herbal tea tags. So that is another journal for no reason. Anthropology catalog. This one I had done some reverse collage in here before I even knew what reverse collage was. I never even heard the term, but I accidentally did it in here, keeping some of the images from the magazine or from the catalog that were already there, and then just adding papers and paint around them, or doodles. So this, I love this one, and she was already on there. I just used a pen to kind of trace around her so it made her look sketched, and then painted the background away. So there's another option for journaling for no reason. And then this one started out as a junk journal. I think I made it out of drop papers. And it just had all kinds of different random pages. I had some fold-outs. Yeah, I think they were mostly drop papers to begin with. And then I went through and just started adding, kind of like I did on the paint wipe-off book, just adding scraps and adding more paint, and just for fun. See? Not really, it doesn't really make any sense. There's no cohesive theme going on. This is just what fun looks like for me. It was just having fun. And I love it. So, like I said, I have built up another unmanageable stash of images and parts and pieces and scraps and stuff. So I've started another journal for no reason. And in this one, I am using this is an A5 size Moleskine book. This was like a limited edition artist cover book. It has graph paper pages in it. I have several of these that I've just been hoarding for years. So I decided I would use it. And I've started on it, and as you can see, I don't go in order. I don't start at page 1. I don't complete a page and then go to the next one. I just jump in, and oh look, we have Keith Richards riding a satellite, playing his guitar. Like, how can you not love that, right? And what this was a postcard, one of those advertisement postcards like you pick up. They'll have them at restaurants and stuff sometimes. And it was advertising a concert tour for Keith Richards. And it had this phrase on it, "Some things get better with age, like me." So it was on a gray background, and I just knew I wanted to keep him pretty much like he was. So I started flipping through my background images, and I found these outer space ones. And I was like, ooh, Keith Richards, outer space. This works. So I found this one, which looked well with the gray colors. And then I just thought, I wonder what would happen if I cut him out, if he could like sit on that satellite. And sure enough, he could. So I cut him out of the postcard. I had to outline him in white because, you know, he was gray. He didn't really show up very well. And then I just made a little slice in the satellite and slipped him in there. And it looks like he's riding on it, right? And then I painted the edges of this paper to kind of mimic this was a Nat Geo page, just to kind of mimic the colors in the Nat Geo background, and glued it down. Super simple, but oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. I love, love, love this. And as you can tell, I don't tape off my pages, I don't gesso them, I don't glue them together. These are all things that I could do and maybe will do at some point, but as a general rule, I just start slapping stuff on there. I don't care if paint gets on other pages. I can either paint over it, cover it up, I can gesso it if it really bothers me, whatever. This is super casual, just for fun, not an art journal. This page, this was kind of fun because this kind of came together all at once. Because there's nothing to it. It's seriously 1, 2, 3 elements, you know. So that was easy to do, a completed page right there. That's not to say that I won't go back and stick something else over here. If I find like a really cute little alien or something, oh, I would totally put that on there. So these, once a page, it may look done, it's never really done. As long as it's in my possession, I reserve the right to add something else to it. So this one kind of worked out the same way because there's not much to it. This was an entire background. I think it was also Nat Geo. It already had the light greens and stuff going, and it was smaller than my page, so I painted around it just to kind of mimic the same colors. I used a pen to kind of lightly trace around just the top edges of these buildings so they look kind of sketchy. I did a little bit around the tree as well. I glued on a butterfly, used a paint pen right there, a little washi tape, called it done. Love this. I may add something to it later, I may not, but this makes me happy. Okay, next, what else have I done? Oh, see, this one is just some scraps I had laying around. It's not really anything yet. It may never be anything. This may be as far as it gets. I may add more scraps to it. It might end up as a background for something else. I don't know, but there it is. Oh. See? Woohoo! Off to a rockin' start right there. I wanted to use that piece of a map for something. I don't know what, but I stuck it there. Because something will happen around it at some point, right? This was actually a piece of a scrap paper that was really muddy. I had used it to soak up some extra paint, and it was just kind of muddy and awful. But I stuck it down and then started playing with paint over it. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but I've got to start on something, right? This was a magazine page that I added watered down acrylics to it just to kind of make it look like it's covered with watered down acrylics. I don't know. I had no goal in mind. I just really liked what I was doing, so that's what I did. I've got the option to add to it or leave it. And that's really what I love most about this, is that I just have so many options. Add to it or leave it. Ooh, that's simple. This was just another painty piece I was playing with. And then I had a couple, is that it? Yeah. I had a couple of, these are loose pages that I made. Kind of in the same way, just started gluing stuff down. These just sort of built themselves, actually. I had no goal in mind, but there they go. So I'll probably end up tipping these in at some point. So I've got some other, see, I've got a few things started in here I can finish, and then I've got some other elements that I've started working on. I do end up getting a lot of these, you know, advertisement postcards like you pick up, like I said, in restaurants and different places will have them. Sometimes they're about local events or artists or concerts. I end up with quite a few of these. And they are really fun to alter, especially in a reverse collage type way, because this is how this one started, and then here's where I'm going with it, and then, okay, I don't know what's going to happen after this. All I know is I painted it blue, and then I stuck this piece of a book page in the wet paint, and then we'll see what happens. I have also used some of these pictures you get like from online printing companies. They will sometimes send you a free sample kit that has samples of their work and also of the different papers and photo finishes that are available. And so I had this picture of this little girl. I've got like 6 or 8 of them, and they're all on different photo paper with different finishes. And I started playing with her yesterday, and what I did, I just glued some different scraps, paper scraps on there, and then just started painting, just kind of picked up some of the colors that were already there. You can see, can you see? How's that? There we go. But yeah, kind of kept her face because she has such a pretty little face, and kind of reverse collaged around her. So now she can go on something bigger. I don't know what, but you know, that's a work in progress. I have some other advertisements where I've just whited out. Sometimes I use gesso, sometimes I use just white acrylic paint. This was I think this is a Vera Bradley, yeah, advertisement booklet. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in its booklet form like this or just tear off this cover, because see, she was just kind of perfect right there on the cover. So I white it out all around her, and I can do something there. This is a page out of a catalog. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Jim J. Helm Occasions.com, and I think it was a free catalog I sent off for I don't know if these are like bridesmaids dresses, or they look like maybe bridesmaids dresses. I'm not sure. But they all have these pretty girls, and see how they're just like on a not too busy background, and then, you know, they don't, and they're just so easy to paint around or collage around. So oh, there she is again. I tore her out. She was in the back. I whited out, used white paint over some of the stuff that I didn't want, but left some of the flowers that were there, and then I can keep doing something with her. I don't know what. This was a magazine ad for a watch. I just isolated the watch. Same thing with this one. And then this one was an advertisement postcard for this guy, Chet Baker, who plays the trumpet. And he had a trumpet right here, and then there was text up here. So I blacked it all out. I put a little bit of blue on my brush and just kind of swirled around it. And I intended for that just to be my starting point. But I love the way it ended up. It just accidentally ended up really cool like that. So I put washi tape border around it, and that's done. I could just stick that on a background and call it done. So this is kind of what I call my journaling for no reason, is just using what I already have, scraps and things that I've saved, sticking them in a journal just for fun. So let's work on something. What do we want to work on? Do I have another? Let me find another. Oh, I know. Okay. Where is that map? Here's this map. Oh, look. That'll go just right. I'm going to tear this off. I want to show you a technique. This is a piece of scrapbook paper that's cardstock weight. I believe this is 7 Gypsies scrapbook paper. And, you know, the designs are just fabulous, but cardstock weight does not work well for a lot of art journaling techniques or collage. It's heavy, and it's not my favorite for layering. Plus, you lose the entire backside, right? You have to pick one side or the other. Well, here's a trick that you can do. On these heavy papers like this, you can peel them. And if you just, let me zoom in. Oh, I would have done my nails if I had known I was going to do this. Okay. You just kind of pick an area, get over here, I had kind of started. Just pull it back till it starts to peel like this, and then keep going. It starts to tear, you can come at it from a different angle, or pull more on one side rather than the other, you know, pull more this way instead of this way, and it'll kind of even itself out. But you can peel these heavy cardstock papers like this, which will make them easier to use in your mixed media and collage stuff. Plus, now you get both sides. Best of both worlds, right? So there we have it. Now, I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it right here. Cut off that 0. Put it here like this. And sometimes what's fun when you have a piece that goes over the edge is to just go ahead and fold it over and glue it on the back side. You may use it, you may not, but it takes away that white page anxiety if that's a problem for you. The kind of glue that I use in these is just whatever is on hand, honestly. I use anything and everything. Look, I've got Mod Podge, so that's what I'm going to use. Yes, it buckles the paper. No, I don't care. Not an issue. I mean, you saw how fat and happy and buckly my other ones were. It's perfectly fine. Now, if I'm using a lot of wet glue like this, I might get out some wax paper and put between the pages until they dry so that they don't glue together. Line that up. And fold that over. In fact, I'm going to get some wax paper because I am getting heavy on the glue. right, what else have I got? You know what? This guy needs a background. I'll show you my backgrounds. I recently revised my system for storing my magazine clippings and collage images. I'll have a video coming up on that soon, but this is part of that. These are just things that really say background to me. But then some of these, like these, maybe not those, like these birds. I could cut out those birds, but I know myself. Look at those pointy tails. I'm not gonna mess, I hate fussy cutting. No, I'm not gonna mess with that. So I'm not gonna cut out these birds. However, I really like this. So to me, this is a background. I have lots of Nat Geo stuff in here. And this is just my background, my folder of backgrounds. Now, what would he look best on? I mean, clearly we can pick up that blue, but I don't want to overdo it. Oh, that's not bad. Look. Seriously, has my camera been off this whole time? God. Okay, I don't know at what point I started rambling to a dead camera, but okay, I think I had pulled some backgrounds. I was trying to decide. I eliminated this one because it was just too very. It was very. I thought about this one because I really like this, but then I put it on here, and this is where it needs to be because it picks up the black, it picks up the blue. This is the one I chose. All right. Now, I was choosing a place to put it, and I choose here. And I was going to show you how to do the, or how I do the paint this page area to sort of mimic what's going on in the picture. Now, I could probably go in my art room and find this exact color of blue paint, but that would require me getting up out of my chair, and I'm just not really all about that today. So I'm going to use what I have here in front of me, and this is what I have. And I'm just going to pretend like it's the right color, even though it's not. But that's okay. I'm going to put some on and do this here, and then there's a little blue over here. Like that. And then the rest of this is black. So, oh, you know what? Before I do that, let's add some white, because you know, white. So, yeah, there we have it. Maybe a little bit of this gray to tone down the blue. Oh, that's nice. Okay. And then a little more white on this side. And same thing up here, white, and a little gray. And then the rest is black. I'm just using cheap acrylic craft paint. Kind of make that blendy. kind of make that blendy. Look at paper towel fuzz all over it. Okay. I'm wetting my paper towel a little bit. Okay. Oh, that is nice. This needs to come way up here more. Okay. Now I'm gonna glue my background down. I'm gonna use a sort of a, what I would call a dry glue so that it's not a super buckled, wrinkly mess. And I'm gonna use some Halmar Premium Craft Glue. I said that wrong. This is not a dry glue. This is one of those like really fast drying glues. That's what I meant to say. Beacon 3-in-1 is similar. Halmar 450. Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue is another one. These are just really sticky, quick tack type glues. Okay. And down it goes. Now, I think I'm gonna use my paint and go a little bit over the edge of the page because I think that looks really good. Kind of like that. See, just a little bit over the edge of the page. Where's my gray? That was the white. This is, oh, a blob of paint went flying. I saw it, but I didn't see where it landed. Oh, don't you hate that? Yeah, I'll find it someday and be like, oh man, what a slob I am. Alright, and now my weird blue doesn't really go with anything. There we go. Now, dab of black. I am really liking this, except for right up next to the moon. Can you see the part where I didn't paint on the magazine is shiny? That bothers me. So I'm going to use a really wet brush to just go in with a little bit of black paint just to kind of put the same matte finish on that area that's on the rest of it, so that there's not so much of a separation. It's almost like watercoloring over it. Let's see. And then this one's a little trickier because there's not a definite line. So I'll kind of rub it around. See if I can rub it in without rubbing it off. Now it almost looks like the whole page is painted. Isn't that fun? Alright. Spreading out the rest of my paint blob so that I don't set something in it. Now, let's see, my little guy can go like so. Or do I want him more like that? Maybe right on the edge. I think maybe right on the edge, like that. Yep, looks good. I'm going to use the same clear glue to glue him down. These postcards are also really thick, like cardstock, and if you want to use them for collage and layering, but the thickness bothers you, you can also peel them like I showed you on that piece of scrapbook paper. All right. And there we go. Voila! Now see, this is not so much a completed art journal page, but I'm done with it for now. I'm going to walk away from it, go on to something else, and then, you know, I may revisit it later. Let's see if this is dry. Yep, this is dry. So that is journaling for no reason. It's not completing a page in one sitting. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it's not really my goal. It is just putting paint on paper and gluing paper to paper just for the fun of it. You can start building little pages or little scenes or vignettes, but I just don't feel pressure to run in and finish this and find just the right elements for it. Because I'm going to be, you know, looking for the right elements for this one, and while I'm looking, I may stumble upon something that's just going to be perfect for right here. Because it needs something right here, right? It's off balance. So that is my process for journaling for no reason. I work on a journal at a time. If that makes you nervous, get some loose leaf pages and just work on loose pages at a time. You can always later bind these into a journal or glue them onto the pages of a sketchbook or something. You can do it on index cards. You know, just whatever you're comfortable with. I know some people don't like the idea of just doing a whole journal at a time, but let me tell you, they fill up fast. Really, really fast. Especially the more random you can get with putting your stuff down, the faster they fill up and the more satisfying it is, because then, you know, you end up with something extremely fat and happy like this, which, you know, this was years ago, and this still thrills me to feel it. Oops. To look at it, to go through it. And I want that for you too. If this looks like something that you might like, if it's just not your thing at all, you know, totally cool. But if you want a more loosey-goosey, carefree, just session of having fun just because it's fun, then I hope you will give this a try. So that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the My Creative Year group if that interests you. I've got just a head full of stuff that I'm working on, so I'll be seeing y'all again soon. The end.